BBC2 for the first of two programmes in which Lord Snowdon looks at the mechanics and the art of photography. Snowdon on camera.
Here in Venice, where there are probably more photographs taken every year by the millions of tourists, one's constantly reminded of those magnificent paintings by Canaletto. Meticulous detail, an amazing perspective, whether it was of the Doge's Palace, or St. Mark's, or the Grand Canal. But surprisingly, 100 years or so before photography as we know it, he was using a camera obscura. And this is it. This is the original one. It's got a canal on the top. A very simple box with a lid that comes up, a lens in the front here that you can actually focus by pulling in and out. And the light enters into the box and is reflected by a looking glass at 45 degrees, exactly like a modern reflex camera, onto a ground glass screen where he could see an exact replica of what he was going to paint. I can see the basilica very clearly. In fact, it's exactly like a single lens reflex. It's not upside down, it's reversed. So you could very easily put a bit of paper here and just trace it off and get every record and every piece of perspective totally accurately. But of course, Canaletto had no means of retaining that image. Niepce, a Frenchman, achieved this in 1826. By 1839, Daguerre had produced the first workable means of chemical reproduction. And in England, Fox Talbot invented the basic process still used to this day. I think sometimes people make photography too complicated, too much of a status symbol, too much to do with lenses, expensive cameras, and all the rest of it. And this photograph was taken in Venice with a pinhole camera in the simplest possible way. Now, what you do is you can get an ordinary biscuit tin, put a hole with a pair of scissors, as small as possible, in the center, roughly in the center like that. In the hotel bathroom, or a dark room, put some photographic paper in the back of the tin. Just sellotape it in. It helps if you spray the inside of the tin black. Again, still in the dark, put the lid on, tight, and then put some ordinary tape over the hole that you've made. Take it outside, let's just say here where that picture was taken from, and place it on a firm surface. Take the tape off and leave it like that for maybe half a minute or 2 minutes. You have to experiment. And because a ray of light goes in a straight line, a ray of light from the top of the salute will go through the pinhole and make an image on the photographic paper at the bottom. A ray of light from the canal will go through the pinhole and make an image on the paper at the top. So you will get an inverse image of what's out there, and it'll be in negative. When you've finished, you put your finger over the hole or another piece of tape and take it back into a dark room where you open the lid and develop that, in ordinary developer that you get from the chemist, and you'll get a negative print. After that, you can put it in contact with another piece of paper and you can form a positive. It's as simple as that. A biscuit tin, a pinhole, a piece of photographic paper, and that's all. But it helps, of course, to be in Venice.
Where's the F3? Who took that F3?
Although the principles of photography remain the same, the mechanics have become big business, capitalizing on the fact that it is the second most popular hobby in the developed world. We spend more than £1,000 million annually.
Somebody put it away and it's not here.
Esta máquina se llama el Canon Modelo AE1.
An infinite array of cameras, lenses and gadgets are available if you feel you must spend the money.
Neither of these lenses have any macro capability.
No. Mora has no macro capability in their zoom lenses.
Isn't that stupid? I have it. It'll be coming.
Now, that's going to cost how much?
That'll cost about $620 to $650, just the body, no lens.
And then the motor and the lens?
The motor will run around $450. A lens, depending upon which one, will run anywhere from $100 to $200.
So I could come in and buy this complete.
If you bought this complete, as you see it now, with a 1.4 lens, it would run somewhere around $1,250 to $1,300.
Now, would I take better pictures if I had a camera like this?
You would not be able to tell the difference under normal circumstances with the picture taken with this or with the other.
So what's new about this one?
Well, basically, there's a few things. Number one, this motor will enable you to take up to 6 frames a second, just by pushing this down.
Now, do amateurs want that or not?
They might want it. In other words, if your interest, let's say, was in sports photography, and you wanted to capture a sequence or just capture the shot, you would need a motor drive. You might not need 6 frames a second, but this is the best, and it'll be.
But shouldn't your eye and your hand tell you exactly when to take the picture?
It should, but your reflexes might not be able to get that picture. This will almost ensure.
Would you like a filter for this?
But almost. I think that motors are all right for winding the film on, but it still has to be up to your eye when to press the button. The more electronics a camera has, the more likely it is to go wrong. Wear all this lot around your neck, and not only will you look like a Christmas tree, but I doubt if you'll find the right lens at the right moment. Now, supposing I was going to buy that, what would that
You're looking
cost?
at about $4,500.
$4,500?
$4,500 for a nice toy. Now, obviously, it's not something that everybody would buy, but the lenses here would enable you to do almost anything photographically.
Now, do you get amateurs coming in and spending that amount of money?
You do get doctors, you get lawyers, you get people in show business, people with money that will buy something like this. All of the cameras that you see that are being bought today are being bought, for the most part, by people that want to take good pictures, but they're buying a camera, they're not taking the time out to learn how to use it, and it becomes a status symbol. If you go to Central Park on a Sunday, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of cameras. Nobody's shooting pictures. If you look in my photo finishing bin and you look through 100 envelopes, you'll find 5 or 6 good pictures. That's the unfortunate part.
Although most people own a camera, they still like to have a professional photograph of a special occasion, like an engagement or a wedding.
Keep it. Chin down.
Madame Harlip
Keep it.
has been a professional portrait photographer in Bond Street for over 40 years.
Do look up. Thank you very much. Mr. Heller, studio. Mr. Heller. Black background, please. And now I will give you some artistic picture. But don't move, please. Hillary, look at me and give more feelings. You can do it. So let me only see my camera. I do the lighting in the last minute. Lovely, Hillary. Lovely, Hillary. Keep the mood on. Your expression is delightful. Thank you. Can I see? Stop. I do that. I do that. I love that very much. Now, Hillary, try to imagine that music is being played for you, especially for you. Look at my ring. Keep it, Hillary. Keep it. It's beautiful. Take it. Give me a Rembrandt. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Madame Harlip, what makes a great portrait photographer?
Love to a face.
Now, is that trying to tell the truth about a face, or is it flattering a face?
No, telling the truth. Flattering is cheap. And I personally couldn't do it.
Now, is taking photographs one of the fine arts? Is it an art?
It is a great art, because people don't realize how important it is to make a good portrait. You see, people think if you snap, this is a portrait, but it's not so. You must give the contact, you must feel that the person gives it back, and then you succeed. And this makes you happy, you see, when you know you got it.
What are the ingredients of a good portrait?
Life, honesty of expression, and simplicity.
What's the secret of your lighting? You never use daylight, or would you?
No, never.
Why not?
Because it's not successful. You see, with light, you can paint. I paint in light. I think I'm the only one who can say I paint in light.
What does that mean?
This means that I paint the face. You see, if I get something like this done, this means painted in light. And this I call Rembrandt.
Why do you call that Rembrandt?
Because this is how Rembrandt worked. If you remember his works.
But then Rembrandt also painted a lot in daylight.
In painting, you only can paint in daylight, you have a top light from outside. But in photography, it's not possible. You see, you can't paint in daylight. You can't put a face and say, now wait, how the light comes from outside.
You see, the awful thing is I love working in daylight.
I know, but then your kind of work is different as mine. You see, I'm a portraitist, and I wouldn't be able to do in daylight. I would call it a snapshot. I'm sorry to say that.
1423 to Portsmouth Harbour.
At the opposite end of the scale, for a passport or identity card, the simplest and cheapest way of taking a photograph is in a booth. You take it yourself, of yourself, and since you're looking in the looking glass, it should be the best likeness possible. But is it?
I was rather surprised when the flash came, and I shut my eyes, and that was the result.
You shut your eyes because of the flash?
Yes, because of the flash.
But it's not really like you, is it? Not very flattering.
Not really, no.
Are you photogenic or not?
I don't think so now. I'm grey, but I thought I was before I went grey.
Can I look at them first? No? Which do you like best out of those? Now, why do you like that first?
Because I'm smiling, I suppose.
Is it very difficult when you're in there alone to put on a smile or not?
It is, yes. I feel like a fool.
So how did you manage to do it without looking false?
Well, I think it does look a bit false, actually, but...
Now, that one's quite nice there. How did you choose that expression?
Just coincidence that happened to glance that way.
Now, let's see if we can get a Rembrandt out of this. I put a black anorak up here, and another one down there. And a hard line. Now, I'm going to swing around and see if we get a really hard line. Because this black anorak should reflect no light, and we're just using one top light here, and nothing to fill in. Nice, cruel, hard light. Do you like your work being recognizable? What I mean by that is sometimes people might say that your portraits are so strong they're recognizable as a portrait by Karsh, first and foremost, of somebody.
I assure you, I'm not egotistical at all, but I can recognize a Rembrandt miles away. When I am in a room and I see a picture way down there, 3-4 galleries away, I know it's a Rembrandt. So I think also it was Teichen who made this observation. You don't even have to sign your photograph because the stamp of your creativity is right there along with you. They are all-encompassing. I'd like to think definitive picture of that person.
Karsh of Ottawa, one of the world's most famous portraitists of the famous.
I went to him with an ashtray and I said, if you please, sir, he wouldn't hear of it. So without any premeditation, but with a great deal of devotion, I said, forgive me, sir. Before I knew it, I'd taken the cigar away from him, put it on an ashtray, and withdrew to my camera 4 or 5 feet away and clicked this picture, which he looked so serious as he could have devoured me.
Do you ever take photographs of unknown people?
Indeed, I still do. If I find a person, a face, man or woman, I often invite them to be photographed, and they are unknown. But somehow the capricious nature of human being is that they are more often than not interested in the famous than the others. That is, I'm speaking, if you published unknown photographs of unknown people, I think they will be accepted by artists and a few interested in photography, but basically the world, the viewer, would like to read something about achievements.
Mr. Karsh, what's the largest number of reproductions of your work that's ever been done?
The first I photographed in my life was Pius XII in 1949 for the Holy Year. And I presented it to the Vatican, totally. It became the bestseller in the Vatican, and they printed 26 million of these to go to the faithful. A photograph or interpretation of a person has to include compassion, frailties of that person, and hopefully his achievements.
You go beyond the person's face in depth. And what does that mean?
Well, it means that it is what we hope in our approach we accomplish about any artistic endeavor. It means your understanding of the personality. You are already imbued with the contribution of that personality, man or woman, to the world. And if the result can show that I have gone beyond, and indeed I feel I have, the very soul of that person, the very depth of that, of his consciousness or her consciousness, then you have something that is enduring, something you can live with, something that will grow on you.
It's very cleansing. It's like pulling a kind of skin off of your brain at the end of the day. You come here and you've got all sorts of aggravation, lovely assignments have been cancelled, right? And as soon as your feet hit the mat, it's gone. Fortunately, photography isn't about buying camera gear. It's about having an opinion about something and having a strong enough opinion to convince everybody else that you're right.
Terry Donovan, down-to-earth fashion photographer, still at the top after 20 years.
I think the thing is that so many photographers nowadays want to get an American car and a credit card, and they're not obsessed by photography. See, all that old 60s school are manic photographers. When I'm photographing models, if I think they're dogs, there's nothing there.
How do you spark it off? What do you do?
A little bit of imagination, sir.
Please.
Yeah?
Yeah, thanks.
Should we do it, or just finish that card?
We're getting dark soon.
Is it supposed to be like that?
We can try it with the body stocking.
Is it supposed to be worn without anything at all underneath it, like this?
No, it's supposed to be worn with skirts or petticoats or anything.
Well, in that case, it looks terrific.
No.
I think you could teach the average bloke to take reasonable photographs in 2 or 3 days, right? See what happens if you sit down. It'd be quite sweet, wouldn't it, sitting down? Sit down on the floor. But to get it past it's like the sound barrier, you know, once you get through it, the more you know, the more tricky it becomes. And the average bloke staggers into the room and takes a picture. He doesn't know about the colour temperature. You know what this tells you, don't you? Right. Fire. Get the thing out of the packet and see what the film speed is. I'm going off a tangent there, but basically I think the reason why it's difficult is because I think it's a slightly metaphysical process. 20 minutes at F8. Hang on. You can't actually analyse why photographs work. These cameras were designed basically by people who never take photographs, you see. They're male jewellery. They're what people hang around their neck. I mean, they never take photographs. You see, you need 2 men to load it. It's a shame, really. It's wonderful lenses. Now, take the... Where's the crimper? Right, just take the hair a little bit out of the eye. Come on, Winkle. If you fasten as if it was Northern Ireland, get out of the way quick. Right? Okay. Sit more upright. You sure you're still a schoolgirl? Right. That's right, stay like that. Okay, I think we've cracked this. Okay. Sit right. We'll do one more roll for Lloyd's. Give me the roll effect. This is what serious photographers use on these cameras. Not making them anymore, sadly. Gone over to gun sites. Roy, tilt your head down. Right. Stop like that. Actually, no wonder they had trouble with us in the last war, perhaps, because they only had bloody 2 coats of grey paint and they'd be at it again, wouldn't they? It wouldn't take them long to get wound up. I always called the taxi drivers in Germany, Lieutenant. You see, you don't need to be a good technician to be a fashion photographer. All you have to do is know a few jokes.
OK, Ricky, start on that left-hand corner. Right, keep going on that side. Keep going. Try the 5Ks.
A magazine obviously strives to get as many advertising pages as possible to pay for the editorial. It is there that photographers make their money, up to £1,000 a day, to sell the product and make it look at its best.
Yeah. Have you got the... Do we need a... No, we haven't got it on. It's all right. That's fine. OK, let's start to move them around. Yeah, that's better, yeah. Much better.
Jeff Senior works in the biggest still studio in Europe, glamorizing motor cars.
Yeah, stop there. That's fine. OK, Ricky, turn the 2K on the right. Yes, that's smashing. Now the 5... Well, we're using spotlights, mainly because you can control them, and I use them in a bounced effect, bouncing off the white walls around the studio. Up on the ceiling. Smashing. Now move it to the left. It gives you much softer light, and with cars, you get, if you use direct light, you have a tremendous reflection problem, certainly off the chrome areas, and you can avoid that by bouncing much better than diffusing the lights with tissue paper or something. They're in the windscreen at the moment. A bit more. And the other one slightly behind it. OK, that's fine. Right, Ricky, we're going to have to Dunning spray this front. Let's start on it. Just beyond the central grid. That's it. Yes, come across from there. You're restricted very much with the car that we're photographing, having a sort of roundish belly, that you can't go too low on it, otherwise it looks as though it rolls backwards. And it's just to make it look as beautiful as possible, entice people. OK. Stay still whenever you're ready.
And sometimes you alter the height of it by putting sandbags in, do you?
Oh, yes, yes. With most of them, we put sandbags and lead weights and things in the engine and to pull it down to make it look more racy and more desirable. On this, it's the opposite. One has to start the engine to raise it because the thing sinks on its suspension.
I was interested that you don't actually press the button yourself.
Well, that's really the final part. The photograph could take all day to set up and light and paint and everything else, spray it. And so the final part is pressing the actual button and loading the film and marking it. And I let the assistants do that. Go off to the pub or something.
Paul Kemp works out of a small basement in Baker Street.
Unfortunately, I've touched the front of the glass with the ice cream. Now, this isn't acceptable to any client in the ice cream market at all, because it makes the whole glass look messy. So that if it's strawberry, and there's a possibility of wiping it away, we can actually save this setup. If it's chocolate, then there's no chance at all. I wasn't around, but they used to, I hear, do it with mashed potato. No, I know they did it with mashed potato, because in the olden days of before flash was invented, you used to have, say, 15 seconds exposure on 10/8 film. Well, obviously, ice cream or a run won't hold for 15 seconds, so they used to colour mashed potato and other various things. For some unknown reason, I've built up a reputation for doing ice cream. I think that ice cream really is a question of patience. Now, if you're a fashion photographer and you're used to zinging around and music going and the whole super tension bit, then that's not the temperament. You need to have been a very good fisherman when you were a boy. And ice cream is purely patience. Some manufacturers of ice cream like what they call controlled melt. I mean, I've sat blowing on a certain place so they just get a little bit of melt because they think that a fairly soft texture gives appetite appeal. It takes about maybe 200 to 300 sometimes to actually find the perfect bun. It's either right or it's wrong. But what we can do things about, and we do, is putting sesame seeds where there aren't.
How do you do that?
Well, obviously we take, again, the eyebrow tweezers and egg white or super glue or whatever you like, and stick each one on separately so that we get what they call a perfect seeding for the bun. And it's the same care really that goes over the whole thing. Pictures of glasses on stems on black backgrounds are always a nightmare because you've got to get silver card behind to make the light refract back through the wine to show the colour of it.
How do you do that?
Well, you have to balance it or stick it on a very, very thin piece of fuse wire that goes up the back and then angle it until it picks up the light directly. When you're doing a sherry shot, they always like to have 2 bubbles on the edge of the sherry. If you look at any sherry shot in any magazine at all, you'll always see 2 bubbles. It always looks nice to have something breaking the straight line going across. They've always got these nice bubbles on the edge.
But always 2.
But always 2, yeah, because 3 is always a difficult shape to arrange, because do you have it in a straight line going down? Do you have 2 there and 1 there? It's much easier to keep with 2.
The advertising photographer's job is to reconstruct the image required by their patron, the advertising agency. Tony Wetton, a creative art director, works with an agency handling some of the largest accounts. Why could you not actually just use the drawing? Why do you have to convert that from a drawing into a photograph?
Well, we wanted to make it reality, but this was not fantasy line. We wanted to make it real as possible, so I wanted to do it as a photograph. And I thought that's what made the campaign interesting, and we were taking impossible situations and making them look real. And by doing that, we wanted to get the kind of surprise. So if somebody's going up the street in a car and they suddenly see this poster, they almost kind of...
And if they saw a drawing, they wouldn't believe it?
No, it's just a drawing. You can draw anything, but you can't...
But you can't cheat in a photograph?
No, you can't cheat in a photograph. Well, you
but
can.
Now come on to that, because then we see the final picture, which is the one that was on all the hoardings. And there you see people flying through the air, unsupported, over what looks like the Yorkshire moors. Were they flying?
Well, they were up in the air. If I show you now, you can see they were supported by scaffolding.
Yeah, I believe everything I see, so that this is a photograph, so it must be true.
We've got lots of people sending us letters saying what aeroplane did they jump out of and how did they manage to hand her the parachute before she got to the ground, which I couldn't believe.
Okay, let's see how it is actually taken, what happens.
This is the original dye transfer that we had before it was retouched. They're on scaffolding poles, which are about 14 feet high, and it's on the side of the hill so that you can see the view from Sutton Bank there behind them, so they look like they're flying. We've got a wind machine that was blowing the smoke up. It was supposed to be blowing the girl's hair up, but it broke. So the best picture I had of the girl was with her hair down. So I decided to take the best picture of the girl with the best positions for her legs and things, and then retouch her hair back up again and put it with the best pictures of the men. You can see the join here of the 2 pictures.
So it's really cheating personified, isn't it? I mean, it's cheating much more than anybody who draws can cheat.
Yes, it's very sophisticated cheating.
But wouldn't it have been much easier and just as effective if you'd just done a montage and cut them out, or would that not have worked?
This is something advertising people have been doing for a long time, is that you cut something out like this girl and just pop her on any background. But all the perspectives are different, and you can tell, just somehow you can tell that it's cheated. This is why, by doing it like this, with everybody in there exactly the right position, that it doesn't look cheated, that it looks like they really are falling from the heavens.
But they aren't.
But they aren't.
In the glasses, you've got vodka or what?
Well, no, we did put the water in the glasses, but the wind machine blew it all out straight onto the camera lens, so we left them with empty glasses and just retouched it back in again, you see.
Oh, you put water in, not vodka?
We put water in, not vodka.
Come on, shimmer away with your public. Lovely. Oh, you're going to tell a lot of this.
I like walking shots. I like things that look as though they've got a bit of motion. You can either run backwards or sort of shuffle backwards, holding your camera, trying to dodge ditches and other unattractive things you might fall into. I prefer to use a wheelchair.
Show your hair a bit, dear. Look over my head, not at me.
I'm going to shoot that way so that we get the serpentine in the background, because all these trees with no leaves on not going to exactly look like the middle of summer.
Very nice.
Bob Belton's job is simply to sell frocks. He's a fashion photographer who does a lot of work for catalogues, trying to persuade the customers that they will look as good as his models if they buy the same clothes. He always seemingly has to shoot in the wrong season.
Cloudy at bright, hazy, sun.
No, I used to use meters. I think I do it for clients watching because they get rather impressed, or they expect you to use a meter. But I've always thought those bits of paper were quite reliable. After all, you've got a whole team of scientists working out the statistics on those, and the sun stays at approximately 92.9 million miles away from the Earth, so you've got a very consistent light source.
Fine. Lovely. Keep 2 feet from the stone. That's it. Look over my head. Show your hair to one side. Beautiful, dear. That's right. We'll sell 1 million like this. Lovely. Come on, a little faster. Come faster to me, Polly. Yes, lovely. Very nice, dear. Keep coming. Lovely. Yes. Super duper. Shimmer. Come on. That's it. Very nice indeed.
As I'm being trundled backwards, it's nice to make sure she keeps at a consistent distance from my lens. And so there's a piece of string and a stone tied on the end, and she keeps, say, 2 or 3 feet from the end of that, and she knows that's her marker.
Yes, and nothing has changed much. Very nice. Come on, faster, Nick, too. That's it. Show your hair, dear. Show your coat so it swings out a bit. That's it. Very nice. That's it. Keep it going. Very nice. Excellent. There's that man in the background. Get him out of the way. He's got a raincoat on. Looks ridiculous.
In my opinion, the 2 greatest masters of photography today, and they've certainly had more influence on me and many of my contemporaries than anybody else, are at opposite ends of the scale. On the one hand, Henri Cartier-Bresson, working in France, the master and doyen of reportage photography. And the extreme opposite, the greatest American photographer, Irving Penn, specializing in fashion, portraiture, and still life. But they do both have something in common. They both started off wanting to be painters, so they learned to use their eyes. Penn, more than anyone, is a master of control. Whether he's photographing someone known or unknown, he usually uses a plain background, and where possible, he uses daylight. When he went to Cusco in Peru, he borrowed the daylight studio of a local photographer for his portraits. He's a shy, unassuming man, but subtly brings out the character of the person he's photographing. His colour work is often of extreme romanticism, using colour for his own purpose rather than realism. In this recent work from his book, Flowers, you can see every dewdrop. Again, a plain background, and very simple. You're not aware of any photographic tricks. Cartier-Bresson, on the other hand, is the master of reportage. More than anyone, he can capture the moment of joy, of sadness, above all, of truth. He worked for newspapers and magazines in the 30s and pioneered the use of the small 35mm camera. Also a shy man, he believes that photographers should be unseen and unknown. His work makes people react. He doesn't print his own photographs, but he won't let anyone crop or retouch them. These pictures are more than 20 years old, but they're dateless. He's revered by his contemporaries and today's students alike. For the amateur photographer, there can be few better lessons than to take a look at the work of men like Pen and Cartier-Bresson. Great photographs aren't the result of buying expensive equipment. They come as a result of using your eye in the most direct and simple way. If you want to take pictures of a place such as Venice, don't just imitate the postcards. Get up a couple of hours earlier, when everyone else is still in bed. Wander about. Make use of the morning light and the mist. Try and capture the familiar with an unfamiliar eye. I think Venice probably looks its best out of season, in November or December, using fog or rain to your advantage, rather than the hard midday sun. In such a place, at such a time, it's virtually impossible not to succumb to the romantic and nostalgic atmosphere.